Hello everyone, and welcome to the hunt. I hope you've bought lots of ammo, medkits, and a few extra syringes, because you're gonna need them for this one. This bounty's high priced. So today we are talking about Hunt Showdown. Not exactly a original type title, but it gets its point down. This is a cooperative PvP and PvE game all at the same time. It does feature a few other modes, but its main mode is Bounty. It's a first-person shooter, and everyone's thrusted into a large open-world map that has multiple locations and either one or two main targets to hunt, on top of having to deal with the monsters, zombie-like humanoids, insect-infested hives, really gigantic, ugly, headless creatures full of leeches, and then, of course, every horror-type video game's best friend, dogs. Because, you gotta love dogs, right? But on top of the monsters being in your way in searching for your target, you'll also have to contend with other hunters. You can go into a map as a solo, a duo, or a team of 3 hunters, and up to 12 hunters can be on one map. Now, you can change the settings a little bit where you can make it where only duos and singles appear on the map, or all singles, duos, and trios can appear on the map. So you can kind of limit a little if you're a little, but you actually get more rewards for being more daring to take on the challenge of more riskier hunts. So you can get more points on that. Now when you start the game, you get a free hunter, and this hunter is spared the permadeath. You heard me right, permadeath. There's permadeath in this game, but don't fear permadeath. Just like Dark Souls and Demon Souls, death is a part of this game. It is a part of the learning experience, and it is essential into the game's little ways of gambling, you could say. So, until you get to, I believe it was rank 10, your first hunter is actually resistant to the permadeath. Once you get there, though, they can permadie. Now, your hunters are designed randomly when you first get them, and you can either use money to hire hunters, which have pre-existing bonuses on top of them. You can get a free hunter every once in a while that doesn't have any bonus skills when they start, but they're free and they have random equipment. Or you can also, with the premium currency, which you can earn by playing the game, but you can also buy it, hire legendary hunters. Legendary hunters always come with several skills and usually a decent array of equipment. But honestly, the equipment thing, the game features a system where as you rank up, you unlock the ability to just buy the equipment when you get a hunter. So over time, you can design your hunter with your favorite gear as you rank up. But you do have to earn those ranks, so you're going to start out with lower tier weapons. But don't let that threat you, don't let that make you think you have no chance of survival. I've had ones where I've literally ran into no one, and other times I've ran into crap loads of people, and a lot of it can be luck of draw or being very cautious. Now, you do have very traditional style guns in this game. This isn't where you're going to pull out Uzis and Tom guns and shit. These are a lot of revolvers, single-shotting, reload, single-shot. There's a few guns you can continuously shoot a little bit with a little time in between, but overall, you have to be very cautious on how you use your ammo, because it's limited, and, well, like I said, you can't just simply pull out Uzi and empty out 100 bullets onto something. And when you got multiple things coming at you at one time and you don't have a lot of shots you can shoot really quickly, you're going to make those shots really count. Though, of course, you can also pull out a melee weapon. There are a few melee weapons, some weak, some are good in that. Different strengths. Some consume more stamina, and others consume more stamina but do more damage. Your trusty brass knuckles or a item I always recommend, because there is an enemy that actually explodes when pierced with sharp things. So your brass knuckles is always recommended to bring, because these things can be very dangerous, very dangerous. Personally, as you get really high in the ranks, something I really like trying to bring with me a lot of times is the bomb lance. It's a very, very nice weapon. I really do enjoy the bomb lance. It is a very powerful melee weapon. It does consume a bit of stamina, but it is very powerful. Most things will usually die in one hit, if not guaranteed death on the second hit if it survives the first hit. And it shoots, well, as it says, bombs. So it has a low ammo count though, because obviously it would be kind of OP then. So that's kind of the counter with it. But everything has a balance, and it's very important to balance your character with your strengths and have things covered, because you can carry a large and a medium weapon, and with certain perks you can dual wield guns along with carrying a heavy type weapon, but normally if you don't have that perk you would only be able to carry one hand gun style gun with a large weapon. And there's many weapons: shotguns, handguns, rifles, snipers, there's bow guns, silencers. There's quite a way, and finding what fits your stance, whether you want to stick with guns, melee, mix them up. And of course those explosive, Molotovs, flash bombs. There's a lot of varieties of toolkits, along with a imaginative barbed wire item that one of the boss enemies actually used too, that can be used to spread barbed wire around. Now, barbed wire can cause poisoning, not poisoning, it can cause bleeding. But there was, you can get poisoned by insects, you can get bleeding from barbed wire, dogs, sharp objects that hit you. Bleeding slowly drains your health. You can quickly hit square on the PlayStation control, at least, and you can patch yourself up and stop the bleeding. If you can stop the bleeding before it consumes a chunk of health, you can regen that health back. Poison stops you from being able to heal until it goes away, and it causes more damage as you stay in any poison. And then there's fire, lots of fire. Fire is very dangerous. Fire burns your health chunks, and if a whole health chunk actually gets burned, you lose that health chunk with only 2 ways to gain it back. If you banish one of the targets of the map, you'll restore all your damaged chunks in that. It's a nice free heal reward for getting rid of the enemy and banishing the target. If you escape the map with a destroyed chunk, that chunk is gone, and you have to rebuy that chunk with skill points that you get from leveling up. So it's very important to definitely be careful of burning. Now poison and bleeding doesn't destroy chunks, but if they consume a whole chunk, you have to get a med kit or some kind of healing item to restore that health back. And I recommend doing that because it is very easy to get killed in the wrong situation. Kind of like Dead Rising or pretty much any zombie game. A one-on-one with most monsters is usually not a problem, but get the wrong combination, like an exploding enemy and a bunch of insects coming after you, and then dogs attack you. All that happening at one time can be a very terrible combo. Let alone if a hunter also spots you and is like, ooh, bang bang, while you're in the chaos. Now this game uses a lot of sound. While graphically it looks pretty simple and standard, it definitely isn't pushing the graphics, at least on console. I am playing the PS4 version. It's also on Xbox One and PC. It looks decent, but I definitely would say it's not pushing the graphical levels of what it could. And I don't think it really needs to, because this type of game relies on sound, and sound is so good in this game. Everything makes sound. Simply changing your weapons makes sounds. Using your dark senses to sense clues that help you find your targets makes sound. Everything makes sounds, and everyone can hear those sounds if they're within the range of it. Gunshots can be heard in the distance. Grunting, running over glass, leaping, climbing. Excuse me. Climbing ladders, jumping, chains rattling, can traps being passed through, and that. Now, you can crouch and usually go through most things, but you still make very quiet footsteps that actually can still be heard within a certain distance. So, very good people at stealth will thrive in this game. And you need to learn what things like, for example, doors. All doors are squeaky. You're not going to open a door very easy without making a squeak. So, you usually want to avoid doors. But you do open doors slowly when you're crouched, but still makes noise. And everything, like I said, just has a big pattern of how far out it goes and how close you have to be to hear stuff. There are perks that can mask sound. Like I said, there are all gun silencers that lower the sound, but can still be heard. But it lowers it to where it's harder to hear. And including, there's also, of course, enemies that can also assist you in sound by you can heal enemies. You can use enemies to actually find people. It's like, that enemy got triggered. Now, who's over there? There's also specific things that make sounds. Chicken coops and wild dogs. Not to be confused with the enemy dogs. There are wild dogs that are caged up that make noise along with chicken coops. These can be easily taken care of, as there's always a lamp above them that you can shoot and silence them. But you'll have to be the judge whether you want to risk shooting and silencing them now, and risk somebody hearing that gunshot and wandering around you to ensure to kill you, or to silence them before somebody gets close enough so they don't be like, chickens, dogs, someone's been here. Somebody could be here. It can be risque, yeah? But you'll locate the target, you have to kill the target. There are currently 4 bosses in the game. There's the Spider, the Assassin, Scrap Beak, and the Butcher. Now, for me, I find the Butcher and Scrap Beak the easiest, because the Bomb Lance just tears them apart. Now, the Spider and the Assassin are very agile bosses, and they're hard to hit with explosives. But all the bosses aren't generally really hard. Really, the big threat usually comes from other hunters weaseling into the fight and taking advantage of hitting you while you're fighting. That actually, ironically, just happened to me a little before I started this recording, to kind of freshen on the controls and anything I might want to talk about. Yeah? We were fighting the Spider, and then somebody started to go like, okay, we gave him some time, shoot, and took us out, and got an easy boss kill. You gotta be cautious, son. You can wait for someone else to fight the boss for you, but doing that, you don't get the banishment bonus of banishing it unless you try to kill them before they banish it, which can happen, but you want to be careful. Now, you do want to be careful if you go and fight bounty collectors. Every boss gives 2 bounties, and you can only carry 1 bounty of a target. But if you kill both targets on a map, which not all maps always have 2 bosses, but if it does, and you go kill the other boss, you can pick up another bounty from the other target. Now, when you pick up the bounty, this gives you a special dark sense. There's a little number of 5 that appears in the corner of your screen, and when you use your dark sense, you can see hunters that are nearby temporarily, and the counter will tick down. If you do it right, you can do a quick looky around yourself with 1 second. giving you at least 5 times you can look around. Though if you kill other hunters while having the bounty, you actually get a recharge of this. So this is very useful, because usually when you collect the bounty, you'll immediately check to see if anyone else is camping outside and choose your destination on whether you want to evacuate the map or go for any other targets on the map. And some people love to be like, time for the next target. Though I always find that be a 50-50 shit, or sometimes you'll get murdered and lose, and sometimes you'll win and you'll get winning the gauntlet, which is where you get all 4 if it's a duo boss map. It can be very dangerous and it can be very rewarding. As I said, your hunter does have permadeath once you achieve rank 10 and you'll start going through hunters. Like I said, as you unlock stuff, you'll be able to buy the guns you prefer and just give them to your hunters. The in-game currency that you earn from bounties and that, I have like over like 40,000 in it, and I'm rank 100. You're not going to really run out of the in-game currency as long as you're doing somewhat decently on bounties and killing things and stuff. Because everything gives you rewards and EXP and money and shit, so as long as you get a decent one, even if you die, if you have a decent one, you're going to get some cash for it, so. And of course, the better you do, you can also earn a few scraps of the pay currency and build that up and buy yourself some free legendaries. There is some DLC in that, but all the DLC are just skins for guns and legendary hunters. They are all cosmetic. There is no pay the win in that. Now, something interesting about the cosmetic side of the guns is you can actually steal people. When you kill other hunters, you can loot their bodies and their primary weapons. And if they actually have legendary skin weapons, you can actually steal those and take those and keep those. And that's actually pretty funny. So you can actually earn other people's skin weapons, but you can't do that for hunters, though. You have to unlock them, unless they'll pay DLC skin, and then you have to pay for it. But I wouldn't worry about that. This is totally a game where all that is just not necessary. It's cosmetics. Even legendary hunters, or the only benefit of a legendary hunter is getting some starting skills, which you can do through the normal system. You get a few unique looking skin killers, but there's no real huge benefit at all. Now, you do have all kinds of skill traits. As you level up, you'll get points that you can unlock either traits, or if you have missing health, you can purchase a small health chunk or a big health chunk. Personally, I recommend big health chunks, but depending on your strats and what you do, there can be benefits to the little ones. But my strats, like using the Necromancer trait that allows you to revive people a little ways from you in Dark Sight, is very useful, because when you have a big chunk, it doesn't consume the whole big chunk, meaning you can regen the health that you use to revive someone, because it consumes some of your health using the skill. But when you use it with a small chunk, it will consume that chunk and it be gone. But there's lots of different traits that affect your stamina, defense, quietness, resistance to like bleeding, falling, extra tools, getting health from things, looting extra stuff from enemies, dual wielding with a large weapon, quicker reloading, staying scoped with different kinds of rifles and shit. There's quite a lot of different ways you can customize your character, so you can either make a little military force of different builds, or just focus on the kind of stuff you like yourself. Now, you can actually get extra money and the in-game premium currency for free during a map too. You can find little hordes of little cash registers, baggies with money. You can find little posters that give you EXP or the premium money for free, but you do have to escape the map to keep those. If you die, you lose them. Which brings up another point. You can leave the map basically whenever you want, as long as you go to an extraction point. There's always 3 extraction points, and they'll be somewhere scattered along the outer limbs of the map. Sometimes you'll be lucky, and they can be right near you when you get a bounty, and sometimes they can be really far away, and you'll have to hoof it if you want to escape the hunt. And of course, you might question, like, well, aren't you somewhat safe? Well, not when you have a bounty, because when you have a bounty on you, there's a thunder lightning bolt that strikes the earth where you are when in Darksight. So people can use that to actually track where the fuck you are on the map when you're carrying a bounty. So if anyone's daring to go fight you, they'll come and hunt you down. So, assuming anyone's alive. Sometimes you can get lucky. Like, I remember one of my first matches I live streamed. We actually basically killed everyone that was alive. Like, I believe we killed, like, let's see, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, so we killed multiple teams and realized that we had killed everyone, so we went for the other bounty and got all the bounties and left. And then sometimes you can have that happen. Of course, you're not always lucky to know that you killed everyone now, but you never know. People die out there on that. But you want to be careful when you're dealing with teams, because you, like I said, you can revive people as long as they have more than 1 health chunk available. If their last health chunk is all they had, they die. But you can ensure they die by burning them and put pressure on their teammates to come out hiding to save them, because they'll burn and burn to death. So there's a lot of nice depth in this game. I really enjoy it, and I will admit, when I looked at the cover and saw, like, you know, it has permadeath and stuff, I really looked at it and, like, this seems like a really odd concept. Like, I don't really think I'll get in this, but honestly, I think it all works really well. Hunters are purposely disposable. They are made to be disposable. You're not losing anything huge when they die. Sure, it sucks that you have to get a few skill traits again and that's part of the game. Like I said, death is part of this game. You will die, even if you're so good, because if you remember, I told you, if you have a destroyed health chunk and you didn't get the banishment and you leave, you have to use your skill points for leveling up to get a health chunk back. And you want to know what happens when you max? No more skill points. Your hunters max out at 50, meaning you won't have any more skill points once you spend them all. Now, you can use premium currency to, like, get rid of a trait and get skill points back. I don't really advise that, honestly, because, I mean, you might as well just use them for fancy legendary skins myself. Like I said, you'll have tons of in-game currency to buy your gear and shit. You'll build it up. You'd have to be, like, really, 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 really bad to not get more money than what you went in with. But I guess it just ultimately does depend on the stuff you buy. But I mean, I buy dual wielding and spear bombs, and the shit's expensive. I'm still doing good on money and that. So, but it's all up to what you want to do with that. There's a lot of freedom. I like a lot of the design in the game. It's fun. It's really fun. And there are other modes. There's this quick play mode that allows you to get a free hunter if you don't have the option for a free hunter. You can do a quick play and wait until you get another offer for a free hunter to in the quick play. And it's really easy to get a free hunter through the shuffle system. Basically, you play a map, go back to the recruit menu, and you'll have a free shuffle. So it's not really hard to get a free shuffle, to get a free hunter. But if you do the quick play thing, you go into kind of a mini battle royale where you have to find little wells and get energy and escape with your soul, or die horribly to someone else who's trying to escape with a soul. In this mode, you can also find guns. You can find some very rarely in the normal bounty mode. I have seen a few before. I think I've only ever seen like 3. but you can find them more frequent in the quick play mode, because the idea is to kind of look around, scavenge for shit, get your soul freed, and boom, you get that hunter available for the other modes. There's also a trial mode. I guess you could kind of see it as the single player mode, though this game is online only, so there is no single player offline options for it. So but trial mode throws you into one of the two maps, and you can activate these trials. You unlock additional shit. They're kind of the story of the game, but the story, like, there is a story, like, there are lore books. You can unlock pages about the monsters and guns as you earn EXP and kill counts and stuff, but I wouldn't say it's anything you're going to sit down and read tons of. It's not soul sacrifice dealt. Let's put it that way. But there is a story, there is stuff though, but none of it's in the actual gameplay. It's just you going for these bounties, and the trial mode's the only thing that really has any of it, and it's just, I tried it, I didn't really get into it. Like I said, the bounty mode is the main draw of this game. It's the main game. But hey, somebody might enjoy that a little bit more than I do. They'll mostly like challenges. Like, there's one of them was like the waste through all these things really quickly through enemies and shit within a certain amount of time and stuff. There's some challenges. You can also use it to get familiar with the maps too. But I find that more fun through actual gameplay. But that's just me. You can get that little extra edge to get familiar with the maps. Now, there are only 2 maps, though at the time of this, there is a third map available on PC, and it's supposedly coming to console late August, so very excited to see that. As far as I know, it's just a new map, no new boss. If I was going to say any real criticism about this game, graphically, like I said, it's not super high. It's definitely manageable. There is one weird effect, though, in Waddle. Your weapons reflect really strangely in Waddle. That's one really strange effect. Sometimes also when you're jumping through like hills of dirt and shit, sometimes your character also kind of reacts weird. Like one time it threw my character like half a tree up during one jump that it was very, very strange. But those were very minor, weird things. I didn't really experience any real problems. Now, with permadeath, you might also wonder what happens when you disconnect. Now, I've experienced 2 different disconnects. I've experienced me fucking just leaving because I actually had to go and do something, and I didn't want to just sit there and have my teammates think I was letting them do all the work, so I just quitted. And when you quit a match, your hunter is dead. You sacrifice them. So yeah. If the server disconnects, which has also happened, and when I re-queued and it gave me the exact same people I was with, and they're like, okay, we'll just pretend we won that one. That was funny, but we didn't lose our hunters. So apparently the game has some kind of safeguarding system to acknowledge whether it was its fault or your fault or that. I don't know if it counts as your fault if, like, say you pull the internet. I didn't test that. So, but keep in mind there's the chance you could lose your hunter through disconnecting. So there are fail safes on that. But like I said, hunters are disposable. I don't really have a lot of problems with the game, but if I was to say one problem, it would be the lack of content, honestly. There's only 2 maps currently, with the 3rd map coming out, and the original game came out in 2018 as like a beta, then officially got its full release in 2019. Xbox got later in 2019, I believe. And then it said in 2020 that the PlayStation, let me double check that. Yeah, 2020 PlayStation got in February. 2019 Xbox got. And the beta was in 2018, but the official release for it on PC was also in 2019. So August in 2019 for PC and Xbox September of that. So, you know, for PlayStation 4, you know, we got much later. But there's only 2 maps and 4 bosses. And from what I understand, Scrapbeak was a boss that wasn't in the original release. He was added eventually. So it's good to know they were adding stuff. But, you know, there's only 4 bosses in 2 maps. And it has a really good gameplay loop. I'm still playing it. I'm rank 100 with everything unlocked in that. Though there is a prestige mode where you can give that up and get 1 prestige level, but that doesn't give you anything but a fancy higher number in your prestige, and you start the ranking system all over again. So, bragging rights, not really a big thing for me. But I really enjoy the gameplay loop, but I really would love a lot more variety with the bosses. Definitely, I could deal with the full bosses a lot more if there was a few more maps, but I'm excited to hear about a third map coming very well to getting this game. Now, I did get this game secondhand. I got it for free, actually, from Mike, who I give a lot of my packaging material to. I give him all my packaging material and pick out a few free games of that, so, you know, he gets lots of cheap packaging material. I get a few games, you know, good deal of that. So I didn't actually pay anything for this game. And this is probably one of the better things I got from him through giving him packaging stuff for that. But probably the only other real complaint I would have is a little about the bosses. I understand on one front that making a complicated boss in a big open world thing with multiple people would involve a lot more work. Bosses are locked to a certain building, a certain area, and they can't leave that area. So you can kind of poke in, shoot one out and stuff. It's a cheap way of killing bosses, and that it can also be dangerous if other hunters are just like headshot. But bosses cannot chase you down or anything, and it would be interesting if bosses had a little more free reign from certain areas, but I can also understand it would be kind of complicated to make the boss capable of climbing ladders and getting around, and it would also then have more free reign of moving around the actual map itself. It would make the hunt a lot more interesting, to be honest, but I could see it being kind of complicated to do. I wouldn't say it was impossible, though, but I could see it being complicated to do. I also would see the potential maybe like Left 4 Dead versus mode kind of idea if somebody was to play like a boss and have human hunters come after them. I think that could be an interesting idea too, but that's not in the game. But it's something I like, you know, that would be really interesting. And then that way you would be able to make the boss free roam around the map. It'd be interesting, but probably not. Like I said, it's not a very graphically intense game, so I would imagine this game was made on a more budgety. I mean, its full price is $39.99, so it's not a full price $60 game. It is interesting to note that this was considered a spiritual successor to Darksiders, as people who made Darksiders actually worked on the original concept of this game, and it evolved into this. A very interesting multiplayer game. In the end, though, if you find any of the aspects I've explained in this interesting, I would definitely recommend checking out the game. And don't be intimidated by the permadeath of your hunters. They are on purposely expendable, and you can build them up again. They can be rebuilt. We have the money. But, no pay to win or anything, just skins and stuff. I think it's overall pretty nicely designed. I just kind of wish there was a little bit more content, but it's not a full price game, so I won't really hold that against it. Overall, I definitely recommend this for people who really love hunts fighting other players, and if you really love pew-pews into the heads, and I don't mean like with machine guns, but I mean like a quick, careful, you have one shot, and if you miss, you have to spend several seconds reloading a second shot to take another shot, while they may be quickly aiming at you and taking their shot. Shots matter, man. Shots matter. So anyway, though, what do I think of this game's value? I think this is a decent $40 game. I think it's worth the very price it goes for. I think it's worth that price. I don't think it's worth less. Like I said, I can complain about a little less content, but like I said, it's not a full price game, so I think that's a fair thing. I didn't really experience any real bugs or anything in the game and that, so it's pretty decently programmed. Like I said, graphically, a little lower on some things, and there's a lot of pop-in. There could be lots of pop-in, at least on PS4. Like I said, speaking from PS4 perspective, there's a lot of pop-in, but it's not the end of the world kind of shit, you know. Game's still going and everything. I think it's worth the value of its price, so I think it's dead even. I definitely recommend it for people who like a good versus, and you're looking for something different, because I haven't seen a game like this. I like the concept. I always like different games that try something interesting, and they might not always be successful, but sometimes they just prove that there's such a strange idea that they're worth checking out. And yeah, I recommend checking out the game. So those are my thoughts on Hunt Showdown. Like I said, there is a little story. I didn't really dwell much into it. You can if you want, but there's not really much to spoil, in my opinion, on that kind of front. So you'll have to find what you want on there. But in the end, I recommend it if you're into first-person shooters, fighting, and like I said, it's also cooperative. So if you got some friends that like these kind of ideas, get them to get the game. It is actually currently on sale at the time of recording this video, though I'm not sure if it's going to be available by the day it comes out. So, like right now it's $17 digitally, and it does have physical. It does have a physical PlayStation 4 version. I'm not sure if there's a physical Xbox version. Like, when I saw this game, I had never heard of it. Like, I saw it on his shelf, and I have never heard of it. Let me see if it has a physical Xbox version real quick. Yes, it does have a physical Xbox version. And, used-wise, physically, I see a lot of $19.99, which is a fantastic deal, by the way. So if you want to go down that route console-wise, but of course on PC, there's a lot of other ways to get deals on the PC version. And there also is crossplay between Xbox One and PS4. However, there is no way to invite a friend on a different console. So if you do have a friend on a different console, you will probably have to spam joining over and over again. So it's probably best to try and have your friends all be on the same console. But it's not necessarily impossible to get in a group with someone on a different console. Just, you know, a little bit more annoyance, though. It's a very good idea with the crossplay, too, because that helps keep a healthy player base for the game. Like I said, sometimes I've never ran into anyone. I find this happens usually in the early morning, likely when there's lesser people online. So, but later in the day, you get lots of battle-ready people. So, yeah. Anyway, those are my thoughts on Hunt Showdown. Lovely game. I recommend it. Go check it out. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment. If you feel like you learned anything interesting, feel free to leave a like. If you feel like you learned nothing interesting at all, feel free to leave a dislike guilt-free. And until next time, be careful out there in the swampy Louisiana. There's a lot of freaking monsters out there. And the proving grounds is just not as safe either. Until next time, be safe out there.